What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com.
Here are my DFS picks for NFL Week 18 Saturday games.
These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button
And hit that bell icon.
so you don't miss our new videos.
In this video, I'm going to go over my top DFS picks for this 2-game Saturday slate. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, let's take a look at this 2-game Saturday slate. So at the quarterback position, of course you got Patrick Mahomes on this slate. Most expensive quarterback with the most upside, but he's the most expensive. So I'm going to pay down a little bit. I mean, he's also the most owned. He'll also be the most owned quarterback, about 39% owned. So I'm going to move down in salary here. And there's 2 quarterbacks that I like on this slate. First, I like Dak Prescott from the Dallas Cowboys playing the Philadelphia Eagles, who have a good defense overall. They've been good versus opposing quarterbacks, but Dak Prescott has averaged 21.3 fantasy points per game on the season. He gets an average of 3.2 rush attempts per game. He's going to be about 33% owned, projected at 20 fantasy points here tonight, and he's 6,800 DraftKings salary and 900 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 43.5 points scored in this game, and Dak Prescott has scored 24, 34, and 12 fantasy points in the last 3 games. He got 5, 4, and 2 rush attempts in those games. So he's been playing really well the past couple of games. I think that momentum is going to continue here tonight. So I like Dak Prescott here versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay, the other quarterback that I like, and this might be my favorite quarterback on the slate, although he is questionable, he was a full participant in practice on Thursday, so he's going to be good to go. So I like Jalen Hurts from the Philadelphia Eagles playing the Dallas Cowboys, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall, and they've been pretty good versus opposing quarterbacks, but Jalen Hurts has averaged 21.9 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 9.3 rush attempts per game. He's only going to be about 20% owned, projected at 18.2 fantasy points here tonight. He's 6,300 DraftKings salary, 1,400 more on FanDuel, and Jalen Hurts has scored 13, 17, and 30 fantasy points in the last 3 games, off of 7, 2, and 8 rush attempts. So I like his rushing floor. I like that his salary is low, and his ownership is pretty low for a 2-game slate. And he does have some big upside. So I like Jalen Hurts here versus the Dallas Cowboys. Okay guys, it's time to announce the winner of our $25 weekly PayPal giveaway, and the winner is Everett Phillips. Everett Phillips, congratulations. You are the winner of this week's $25 PayPal giveaway. Please reply to our comment to collect your prize.
Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching.
If you want to enter the drawing for $25 PayPal,
all you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing. We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won.
And we'll send you $25 PayPal.
So it's that easy, and we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video. So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you.
Okay, let's take a look at the running back position. So the most popular running back on the slate by far is Darrell Williams from the Kansas City Chiefs playing the Denver Broncos, who have a good defense overall. They're middle of the pack defending opposing running backs. Darrell Williams has averaged 12 fantasy points per game on the season. getting an average of 8.6 rush attempts per game and 3.3 pass targets per game. He's going to be about 70% owned, projected at 14.3 fantasy points here tonight. He's 5,900 DraftKings salary, 1,100 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 45 points scored in this game, with the Kansas City Chiefs favored by 10.5. So Darrell Williams has been getting some extra running volume the past couple of games, and I expect that to continue here tonight. I think it's going to be a running game script. They don't want Patrick Mahomes getting hit too much in this game, and they're probably going to take the lead and just be able to run the ball. So Darrell Williams has scored 26 and 12 fantasy points in the last two games off of 14 and 11 rush attempts and 3 pass targets in each of those games. So I like Darrell Williams here versus the Denver Broncos. Okay, now although this guy hasn't been getting much volume as of late, he's still an awesome running back, a fantastic running back, and his salary's not out of control here, so you can fit him into your lineup. So I like Ezekiel Elliott from the Dallas Cowboys playing the Philadelphia Eagles, who have a good defense overall. They give up the 11th most fantasy points. Actually, that's the 13th most fantasy points to opposing running backs. Ezekiel Elliott has averaged 15.6 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 13.7 rush attempts per game and 3.9 pass targets per game. He's going to be about 44% owned, projected at 14.3 fantasy points here tonight. He's 6,700 DraftKings salary, 900 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 43.5 points scored in this game, with the Cowboys favored by 4. So Ezekiel Elliott has scored 4, 17, and 16 fantasy points in the last 3 games off of 9, 9, and 16 rush attempts on top of 2, 1, and 4 pass targets. So not a ton of volume for Ezekiel Elliott the past couple of games, but I think he's still going to get somewhere between 11 and 17 or 18 touches. So I like Ezekiel Elliott here versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay, let's take a look at the wide receiver position. So at the top of the slate, the most expensive wide receiver is Tyreek Hill. He's 8,000 DraftKings salary, 200 more on FanDuel. It's going to be about 59% owned. Now, he's got a tough matchup here. The Denver Broncos have a good defense overall. They've been good versus opposing wide receivers. I might roll the dice and fade Tyreek Hill here. That absolutely could burn me. But the last couple of games, he only scored 10 fantasy points last game. He did get 10 pass targets, and then 4 fantasy points the game before that, only 2 pass targets. So I think they're trying to keep Tyreek Hill healthy, and I just don't think he's going to get a ton of pass targets in this game, and you're going to have to spend up on him. So I just think it's a decent fade if you want to fade Tyreek Hill. Maybe play him in one of your lineups just in case. So I think I'm going to fade Tyreek Hill now. That absolutely could burn me. He can go off for 30 plus fantasy points, so you don't want to totally ignore him. But I'm looking at other guys on the slate here. So at the wide receiver position, I like Devonta Smith from the Philadelphia Eagles playing the Dallas Cowboys, who have the middle of the pack defense overall. They give up the 6th most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. Devonta Smith has averaged 11.6 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 6.3 pass targets per game. He's on the field for 86% of the snaps, going to be about 25% owned, projected at 11.9 fantasy points here tonight. He's 6,100 DraftKings salary, 100 less on FanDuel, and Devonta Smith has scored 8, 19, and 7 fantasy points in the last 3 games off of 6, 7, and 5 pass targets. So I like Devonta Smith here versus the Dallas Cowboys. Now, if you're looking for a value play from the Dallas Cowboys, take a look at Cedric Wilson. He's only 4,200 DraftKings salary, 1,400 more on FanDuel. He scored 19 fantasy points last game, got 6 pass targets. He's going to be about 36% owned, so I like Cedric Wilson as a value play here versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, the other 2 wide receivers for the Dallas Cowboys, pretty much a coin flip between CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper. I think I'm kind of leaning towards saving that salary on Cedric Wilson, but if you do want to play one of their receiver studs, CeeDee Lamb or Amari Cooper, both about the same salary, about the same ownership, they're getting roughly the same pass targets. It looks like Amari Cooper has got more pass targets in the last couple of games, but it's a coin flip between those 2 guys. So I like CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper if you want to go with one of those guys.
Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all the tools for NFL. NBA is right around the corner. This is a great time to get in and try everything for 1 month. The tools are all about saving research time. You can see the last 3 games, the fantasy points per game, the targets they got per game, so you can see how involved they are in the offense, the rushes they got per game. Seeing all this stuff on one screen helps you save time and make better picks. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups.
Now, if you want to save some salary on this slate, this is, I don't want to call it a sleeper pick because he's going to be about 21% owned, but I do think he's going to go under the radar here. And he hasn't really played all that well this season. I am looking for this guy to have a great game to close it out. So I like Courtland Sutton from the Denver Broncos playing the Kansas City Chiefs, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall. They give up the 7th most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. And Courtland Sutton has averaged 9.6 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 5.9 pass targets per game. It's going to be about 21% owned on the field for 86% of the snaps, projected at 9.1 fantasy points here tonight. He's 4,600 DraftKings salary, 1,100 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 45 points scored in this game, with the Broncos trailing by 10.5. So I like this pick because it's a good matchup. I think it's going to be a passing game script here. I think Courtland Sutton's going to get a bunch of pass targets. I think he's going to get 8 or more pass targets in this game. Now, the last 3 games only scored 9, 7, and 3 fantasy points off of 5, 5, and 7 pass targets. But I think they're going to throw him the ball quite a bit here tonight. So I like Courtland Sutton here versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay, and the value play that I like from the Kansas City Chiefs, if you are going to fade Tyreek Hill and you want some low salary exposure to this team or this game, take a look at Byron Pringle from the Kansas City Chiefs playing the Denver Broncos. Have a good defense overall, been good versus opposing wide receivers. Byron Pringle has scored 7, 26, and 5 fantasy points in the last 3 games off of 4, 7, and 4 pass targets. Gonna be about 34% owned. He's only 3,900 DraftKings salary, projected at 7.1 fantasy points here tonight. He's 3,900 DraftKings salary, 1,500 more on FanDuel. So I think he's got a pretty good opportunity here if he can get between 4 and 7 pass targets. And I do think he's going to get plenty of targets in this game. At such a low salary, he doesn't need much to hit value. So I like Byron Pringle here versus the Denver Broncos. Okay, moving on to the tight end position. So the stud on the slate is Travis Kelce from the Kansas City Chiefs playing the Denver Broncos, who have a good defense overall. They've been good versus opposing tight ends. Travis Kelce has averaged 17.5 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 8.6 pass targets per game. He's on the field for 83% of the snaps, going to be about 50% owned, projected at 17 fantasy points here tonight. He's 7,000 DraftKings salary, 1,000 more on FanDuel, Vegas thinks there's going to be 45 points scored in this game, with the Kansas City Chiefs favored by 10.5. Travis Kelce has scored 13 and 44 fantasy points in the last 2 games off of 7 and 13 pass targets. He's a beast, so he's got some major upside here. 7,000 DraftKings salary. I think he is worth playing in a lineup or two. I wouldn't go too crazy with him just because I do like the other tight end on the slate to save some salary. So I like Travis Kelce here versus the Denver Broncos, but the tight end that I prefer here, save some salary for the rest of your lineup, is Dalton Schultz from the Dallas Cowboys playing the Philadelphia Eagles, who have a good defense overall, but they give up the second most fantasy points to opposing tight ends. Dalton Schultz has averaged 12 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 6.3 pass targets per game, on the field for 82% of the snaps, going to be about 41% owned, projected at 12 fantasy points here tonight. He's 5,300 DraftKings salary, 800 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 43.5 points scored in this game, with the Cowboys favored by 4. Dalton Schultz has scored 11, 22, and 21 fantasy points in the last 3 games off of 10, 9, and 8 pass targets, so a ton of volume. His production has been great, and he's got a fantastic matchup, low salary, so I like Dalton Schultz here versus the Philadelphia Eagles.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smiggity smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.